Hey, Naylor from pptvideo.com here, and I'm going to go ahead and give you this very sweet PowerPoint video template absolutely free. There's a link around here somewhere where you can click and download it. And in this video, I'm going to do a tutorial to show you how to modify it. Let's get started. This template comes from the Videoowide Volume 2 series of PowerPoint video templates. Really nice package with some really interesting work. And there'll also be a link on this page that you can check those out. For this demonstration, I'm going to use one of the templates from the package called Happy Show. When you download the package, each of the templates are in their own directory with a thumbnail, a sample video production, and then of course the PowerPoint template. So let's open this up. And the first time you open it, there will be an Enable Editing button. Just push that and we're ready to get started. The absolute very first thing you're going to want to do is go to File and Save As, browse to a location on your hard drive, and rename this template. And save it. That way you won't be messing up your master copy, which, trust me, can happen. And the next thing I'll generally do for templates like this is to start with the first slide and just kind of preview things and see what is supposed to happen. And we'll also then be able to see what kinds of elements we'll want to modify. You can preview slides by going to the Animations tab and then clicking the Preview button, or by clicking the little star icon. So the first slide in the Happy Show basically just starts a music file playing, which is right up here, and does a little bit of animation. There's nothing really to modify here. So let's move on to the next slide. When I'm looking to modify these, there are certain elements that lend themselves to modifying. One certainly would be text. The other would be images, video clips, and sometimes the audio track. Slide 2 has a text element, but let's go ahead and preview it. So text is really all there is to modify in this one. Now, on a lot of slides like this, if I can click on the text here and be able to select it, then I really don't have much to worry about, and I can just go ahead and modify the text. This is easy and no big deal, right? So let's go ahead and preview that. And everything just works. So far, so good. Let's move on to the next slide. And again, my test for being able to easily modify text is, can I just click on it and can I select it? Right? Meaning that there's no other elements on top or getting in the way. So we can just really easily modify this piece of text also. So let's kind of move onwards. I'll go ahead and click slide number 4 and preview it. This, I can see, is just a transition slide, so there's nothing really to modify. Slide number 5. Click the preview. See what's supposed to happen. Okay, so here we have some text. I can modify that. Couple of text fields. And sometimes you want to zoom in and out on slides. I hold my Control key and use my mouse wheel to zoom in and out. We can see there's a big text box here, or you can use the little slider down here to zoom in and out. So as we see on this slide, there is an image that I'm probably going to want to modify. But before I get into modifying this rather complex looking slide, here is my top trick. I'm going to right click on the slide over here in the sorter view, and I'm going to duplicate it. Then on the duplicate slide, I'm going to right click and hide it. This does a couple of things. One is it makes a duplicate of the slide, so in case I mess up this one that I'm going to modify, I have a backup copy. But as we'll see in just a little bit, it's also going to be a very important reference slide. Okay, so let's go back to the slide that we're actually going to modify here. And here's your second huge tip. You'll be hard-pressed to be able to work with and change this image here without knowing this one little feature in PowerPoint. I'm going to go to the Home tab, and I'm going to go over here to the Select and choose the Selection pane. Let's pull this out a little bit. And the Selection pane basically shows all of the stuff that's on the slide and the order in which it is in layers. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm just going to clean these little things up a bit. Let's twirl down some of these groups. And this is a cleaner version of all of the stuff that's on this slide. Each element on a slide then can be turned on and off as far as visibility by clicking the little eyeball here and turn back on. So the selection pane is the order of layers, and what we can see here is I'm looking for certain items that I can go ahead and modify. Primarily these are going to be pictures or text, or in some cases a video file. What we'll notice here is that there are two bunches of stuff on top of the picture that I actually want to modify here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hide all. That means there's nothing that will show on this slide. So I basically turned everything off that's visible. If I want to modify just the text easily, I can turn on the text boxes, make my changes, and so on. But the big item here that I'm going to want to modify is this picture. So by turning just it on, I can mess with just modifying the image and not have to worry about all the other stuff that's cluttering up this page. Now, I'm going to kind of go through a process here, so just follow along with me and it'll become clearer later as to why I do what I do. So here's the picture. It is visible. I'm going to click on it again to be able to change the name, but I'm not going to change it. I'm going to use Control-C and copy. Or you can right-click and copy. I want to copy this name. You'll see why in a second. Okay, so let's click on that guy again. And to change this particular picture, I'm just going to go ahead and press the Delete key. So this picture is actually a shape that has a picture fill to it. By deleting the existing picture, I then open up this shape area here to go ahead and click and replace it with a picture of mine. Well, what you'll notice is that this picture is much more tall than it is wide. And in a lot of cases, images that you might want to use might be more wide than tall. But I'm going to just go ahead and select this picture and we'll see what happens when we are basically putting it in as a fill to this shape. Now, I'm a little bit off center here, so by clicking on the image, I'm going to go to the Format tab and choose Crop. At this point, I can kind of center it up a bit if I want. Click Crop again, and now I've kind of gotten my image to replace the one that was there before. But notice what happened when I changed this picture. It also changed the name of it in the selection pane here, and if we go back to our reference sample, not only did it change the name, but notice that picture placeholder 1 is supposed to be under these two groups. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this in selection pane, and remember I'm going to paste that original name back in. This is going to be important when we work on slides that have more than one image. So I'm going to rename that and now grab and move the picture down into its proper placement within the layers of the slide. All right. So I'm going to click the Preview Animations button again over here, the little icon. And what we'll notice is that, yeah, there's no more animation to it. Deleting the picture also deleted the animation. So let's jump down to our reference slide again. And I'm going to hide all. Let's turn our picture on. And if we click on it, let's preview it first. There's the animation that I want. And to easily get this animation for my newly replaced image, I'm just going to click on this. And on the Animations tab, I'm going to click Animation Painter. Go back to my slide that I'm modifying, and then you'll notice I have a little arrow with a paintbrush icon. I'm going to click on my replaced image. And boom, it just goes ahead and copies the animation and paints it onto my new image, my new replacement image. So we've got a good start here. Swapped out the image, made sure it's in the proper sequence or location in the layers of the selection pane, and we've also copied and pasted the animations that are supposed to be there. If I open up the animation pane, we'll see that this particular animation has 3 animations included in it. An entrance, which is the green star, a motion path that makes it move a little bit, and then something called an emphasis effect. So let's play that and see what all 3 of those look like together. So it enters, it moves, and then it shrinks and grows. Let's jump back to our reference slide for a moment, and we'll see that, yeah, all of those animations are the same. But here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and show all of the stuff on the slide again by clicking the Show All button on the selection pane. And when we click on Picture Placeholder 1, what we'll see is that not only are elements in certain orders of layers on a slide, but the animations that occur also happen in a certain sequence. So the things at the top generally come in first, and you'll see there's a lot of them. And with the picture placeholder element selected, I can see that those 3 effects, that entrance, that motion path, and the emphasis effect, are a little bit staggered here. So here's kind of how I'm going to work with that over in our slide. In our slide, if I show all and then click our picture, what you'll see is that they're stacked on top of each other. So to make this work absolutely right, I'm going to want to make a couple of little adjustments here. That's why having a reference slide is the bomb. So let's go back to our reference, click Picture Placeholder to select the image, and what I can see now is that the green star entrance effect happens right under text box 74. Right? So let's go ahead and back up to ours, select Picture Placeholder, click on that entrance effect, and slide it up under text box 74. Go back to our reference, kind of double check things. The last 2 animations happen right at the bottom, and I think that's pretty much the same in this particular case. Check the picture, and yes, those are in the right spot. Okay, so now the animation itself will kind of flow the way that it's supposed to, with a couple of other animations in between a couple of the effects. But let's go back to our reference and check one more thing, and that is any delays or durations for certain effects. So if I click on the entrance effect and then look up here on animations, I see that there's a duration of 0.75 and a delay of ½ a second. So let's go back to ours, select the picture, select the entrance effect, and oh, it's different. So that's basically how I do a lot of these slides. At that point, I'm going to just continue through the slide deck and make sure I get at all the stuff that I'm able or want to modify. On this slide, you'll see that, well, I don't really see anything to modify necessarily, but if we preview it, again, we can see that we have some text boxes. So in this case, I can go ahead and zoom out and just modify the text. So that's an easy one. Let's move on to the next slide. Again, I got an image, so I'm going to want to modify that, and I'm going to walk through this one just a little bit faster. We're going to skip modifying the text because, there you go, again, I can easily get to it. So the process is right-click in the sorter view, duplicate slide, right-click, hide slide. This is my reference. This is what I'm going to modify. So now we go to our good friend, the selection pane. And basically, we'll clean this up a little bit and hide all. Look for things that I can modify. If I want to segment them out individually, like a text box. But again, primarily here, I'm interested in what? A picture. So let's find that picture and turn it on. Okay, here's my picture. Again, the next step is to go ahead and click in here and copy this name. Control C. And then click on the image and delete. Let's click here and go grab us another image. Again, more wide than tall. And if I want to, I can go ahead and crop it up and stuff like that. That looks pretty good. So now I'll go ahead and replace this name with the original name. And now let's go look at our reference slide and see where it needs to be in the layers. So here, I can see that it's right under rectangle 6. Let's grab our picture here and put it down under rectangle 6. The next step is to go ahead and grab the animations from our reference. So we'll click on our gal here, go to the Animations tab, click Animation Painter, which grabs all of the animations from the selected object. Go back up to Ours and paint it onto our replacement image. So the first steps are complete. Picture changed, put in the proper sequence of layers, and the animation has been added. So now let's figure out what those animations are and when they need to come in the animation sequence. Let's go back to our reference. I'm going to go ahead and show all. Click the picture placeholder and the animation pane. So if we scroll up and down here, we can see with the picture selected, there are two animations that we're going to be dealing with, an entrance and a motion path. And both of those happen right after rectangle 8. So let's go back up, and we need to show all, or we won't be able to see all the other elements in the animation. Click on our picture. Our two animations are already selected, and we're just going to grab them and drag them up under Entrance Effect, Rectangle 8. Let's go ahead and double check that to make sure we're good. Right? Picture placeholder under Entrance Effect, Rectangle 8. And while we're here, let's go ahead and see if we need to change any of the timings. So the entrance effect is 0.5, 0.5. Click on the picture. There's our entrance effect, 0.5, 0.5. That's good. And then for our motion element, 4.25 and 1. Let's go back. 4.25 and 1. So sometimes things work out animation-wise or delay and timing-wise, but it's always best to double check, and you'll see why in some of the other examples here. All right, so that's the second one, and you might notice that went a little quicker because now we kind of know what we're doing. Let's preview it, and boom, it's looking good, just like it's supposed to. Let's preview our next slide. Again, another transition. And the last one that I think we'll have to kind of deal with here, as we'll see, is a little more complex. 3 images, lots of animation, lots of elements. So the process is right-click, duplicate slide, right-click, hide slide. Let's go up to our modified version and open up the selection pane. Hide all. Find our 3 images. 1, 2, 3. And I think for this example, since there's multiple things going on, I'm going to run the animation again and see what order things kind of happen. This might make it a little easier for us later. So the first image that animates or moves is this one on the left. So if I click on it, I can see that that is picture placeholder 73. So let's copy that, click on the image, delete, change the picture. We'll crop this one a little bit. Scooch that over and crop. Highlight this and Control V paste. And now, since I kind of know where those were, I'm just going to go ahead and take this opportunity to move this down. Let's double check that real quick. Yep, 73 is on the bottom. So let's continue. Copy the next one, which is this. Delete. Change the picture from file. That's fine. Control V paste. And put this one where it needs to be. Click here. Copy. Delete. Change picture. Crop if you want, and we'll paste this. Put it in place. Okay, so that was kind of easy. Sometimes things line up pretty well, or you can modify this workflow to your own purposes. So in this particular case, it was pretty easy to just drag them down where they need to be, kind of on the fly here. I'm going to go ahead and double check though. So yes, 73 is this image, 74, the middle one, 75, and they are all in that order underneath rectangle 77. And that's basically what we ended up with. So now let's do the animations. We'll click here on our reference slide, and I'm going to hide all. Let's just show the images that we want to work with. Remembering this was the first one, so I'll click here, go to the Animations tab, Animation Painter, back up to our sample, and paint the first animation. Let's open up the animation pane, and we'll see that this animation is actually comprised of 3 individual animations: an entrance, which is the green star, our motion path movement, and again, we have an emphasis effect. Now remember, these aren't all going to happen in the same order. Plus, to complicate things, we now have 3 images to deal with the animations. So I'm thinking that for the most part, doing each picture individually is going to kind of be the way to go here. So let's go in and adjust our animations accordingly for each and every one. Let's go ahead and show all. Go down to our reference picture and also show all. So our first picture is placeholder 73. And we know there are 3 animations involved in that. And again, you'll see here, they're kind of scattered all over the place. The entrance up here, the motion path is here, and the emphasis effect is here. So as you'll see in a second here, this is why naming our changed pictures up here the same as our reference picture is really going to come in handy, because look at all the stuff we have to kind of get in line and put in place. So by keeping the same names, I'm going to make that a bunch easier. Picture placeholder 3, entrance effect, goes right up at the top and starts as a duration of 0.5. So let's make that first one happen. Picture 3, on the animations, the entrance effect is at the very tippy top, and it's 0.5, so that's good. Now sometimes you might need to adjust a couple of things. Over here I can kind of see that this one mask layer doesn't quite line up, so I'll go ahead and fix that. I'll scooch this one over a little bit too, and so we're kind of looking good so far. Let's go back to our reference picture for our first image, And note that our motion element comes in right after the emphasis effect of rectangle 77. So we'll pick our picture, the motion effect right under emphasis effect rectangle 77. Let's check the timing. 3.25. Select the image, the emphasis effect, 1, and you see how these things change sometimes, 3.25. All right, so image 1 is complete. And basically, as to kind of cut down the time on this tutorial, you'll basically do the same thing for the other 2 images, the same process. All right? But again, my advice is to work with each one individually, get all the stuff that you need to get in place and lined up, because it's going to make it a lot easier. You'll just have a whole bunch more troubles trying to manipulate large amounts of objects and stuff and remembering what the duration and delay is and whatnot. So take it step by step. And once you do it a couple of times, you'll get pretty good at it. And so, I mean, if this seems like it was kind of a lot of work, as you can see, once you get used to it, it's really not. It's just a matter of understanding how stuff works, where things go, and then at the end of that process, you're going to end up with a perfectly done slide that we can then export as a video. One final note for this tutorial is that to kick this out as a video, basically you want to go to File, and normally we would go to Export, Create a Video, change this seconds on each slide to 0, and then just create a video. Here's the problem with that, or potential problem, is that there seems to be a bug in PowerPoint, especially for very complex slides with lots of high motion and animations and transitions, that will cause our video to end up having glitches in it. That's really the best way I can describe it. If you create your video, which is going to kick out a full HD MP4 video file, if you do that and you end up with this glitchiness in there that's not supposed to be there, here's your workaround. Instead of going to the export route, if you go to Save As, pick your directory, and instead of saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, save it as a Windows media file, WMV. I found that these don't exhibit that glitchy behavior, but they're still full HD videos. You can upload them to YouTube or use them in any of your favorite video editing programs. No problems, but this is kind of a big deal to be aware of if you see this glitchy problem. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Check out all of the different templates in the Videoowide Volume 2 pack, and I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.